Okay. Now? Okay, we will call this meeting to order and note everyone present, and we have our mayor is on Zoom. So we will start the meeting with the land acknowledgement by acknowledging that we are gathering on land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples since time immemorial. We would like to recognize that we are in the Robinson Superior Treaty Territory, and the land on which we are gathered today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe. Specifically, we acknowledge the neighboring community of Mishpekauton First Nation, for whom we have great respect. We also recognize the contributions of all Indigenous peoples, including the Métis, in shaping and strengthening the community and province of Ontario. Okay, item number 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3, approval of agenda.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Pato. Resolved that the agenda for the special meeting of council scheduled for Wednesday, March 11th, 2025 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Item number 4, delegations and presentations. There are none. Item number 5, announcements and giving of notice. There is none. And item number 6, we will move on to new business, and we will have a presentation from Mishpekauton First Nation. And I'll hand it over to the chief.
Thank you so much. We're really honored to be here in front of council this evening to share some information around our additions to reserve lands. These lands have, they were Mishpekauton's many, many years ago, and over the course of time, they were severed. We're now coming back to a place where we're bringing our reserve lands together again. So we have Maya, who is going to share the presentation with you. She is the boots on the ground for us. She's done the research. She works with Indian Affairs and our partners. So we're really happy to have Maya with us. And I'd also like to introduce Diane Purser, who is our executive officer, and it's really a great honor to be here in your presence, and feel free to ask questions. For now, I'll hand it over to Maya.
Perfect, thank you. Okay. Yeah, looks good. Okay. Well, thank you all for taking the time for this presentation. As the chief said, I'm going to be talking about Mishpekauton's ATR, or additions to reserve proposals. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that works. Okay. Thank you. All right. Next slide. So I'm going to be talking about what additions to reserve is, and then covering a few sections of the additions to reserve policy, and then ending off by going over the history and background on the land Mishpekauton is proposing to add to reserve. So next.
Maya, can I just interrupt you for a moment? Is there a possibility to share your screen? Or is this the information that is included in the package, Maury?
Sorry, Mayor, this is the information that was put in the package, and so I'm showing it on the screen. Are you able to see?
I'm not. If it's only the information that's in the package, then I can follow along. But if we are going to be posting it on Zoom at a later date, then I think that we should take the time to project it on the screen.
Okay, I will just try again, and we'll see if this will work.
Perfect. There it is.
Coming. Okay, and one more step. Here we go.
Apologies for the interruption.
No worries. Should I start from the beginning?
No, I think the mayor was following along. Here we are.
Okay. So in terms of what additions to reserve or ATR is, it is the act of adding land to a First Nation's existing land base. And the land can be adjacent to an existing reserve, but it doesn't have to be. And it can be done in rural and urban settings. Really, it should just be within the traditional territory of a First Nation. And it's done for several reasons. One is just to help a First Nation better meet its needs. For example, if a First Nation needs more housing, having more land to do that is helpful. Sometimes ATRs are also done if there's a legal obligation on the part of the federal government. For example, some sort of settlement agreement. And also ATRs play a really important role in reconciliation. And then next slide. So there are 4 phases of the additions to reserve process, and this process typically takes between 5 and 10 years. The first phase is initiation, and at this stage, a First Nation gathers information on the land that it hopes to add to reserve and compiles that in proposals that it submits to the federal government, and from there, the process can move on to the second phase, which is assessment and review. And in this phase, the federal government reviews the First Nations proposals and initiates other assessment activities, for example, reviewing the title of the land. At this stage, the local municipal government and also provincial government is alerted about the ATR and can provide comments. And then this stage is finalized with the federal government determining whether to issue a letter of support. And with the letter of support, the process moves on to the third phase, which is proposal completion. And in this stage, the First Nation has to address what the federal government has laid out in that letter of support, basically everything that has to happen before the land can be added to reserve. So this often includes addressing any municipal concerns that have been raised, and also addressing municipal or third-party interests in the land. And at this stage, the land also has to be surveyed and environmental site assessments completed. And the federal government will meet its obligations for the duty of consult. So if there are neighboring indigenous communities that might be affected by the ATR, they will be consulted on the process. And then the fourth phase is approval. The process is completed with a ministerial order from the federal government. And we're currently in that second phase. Then moving on to the next slide. So I apologize, these slides are a bit dry. I've included some of the sections from the ATR policy just so you can see exact wording of kind of the municipal role in this process. So just starting off, there's an expectation that First Nations and municipalities approach ATR processes with a good neighbor approach. So really just coming into it with goodwill. Oh, I cannot read the slide. I should have worn my glasses. Oh, no, it's okay.
You can stand if you'd like to stand closer, like,
Maybe.
but you'd have to take a walking mic with you. You have to press the bottom for 3 seconds.
Does that work? Nope.
Testing, testing, testing. Can you hear us, Mayor?
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, the font is a little small. So the First Nation and municipality will discuss issues of mutual interest related to ATRs, and some of the issues that commonly come up in ATR processes between the municipality and First Nation are joint land use planning, bylaw harmonization, tax considerations, service provision, and dispute resolution. And the municipality must be consulted on ATRs, but they don't have a veto over ATR processes. And municipal service agreements can be required in the ATR process, and other agreements could be helpful. For example, bylaw compatibility agreements, consultation and dispute resolution processes, and net tax loss adjustment agreements. And the First Nation is the one that's responsible for discussions with municipalities. It's not the federal government's responsibility, although they are available for technical expertise and to kind of act in a facilitative role, but they won't be a party to any agreements between the First Nation and the municipality. So First Nation should initiate discussions with the municipality as early in the process as possible, but the municipality will be consulted before a letter of support is issued, and either will be contacted by the First Nation, which has happened in this case, or the federal government would alert the municipality about the ATR, and the municipality has 3 months to provide comments after being alerted about the additions to reserve process. And it's not expected that any concerns that the municipality raises are addressed at this stage. Really, it's just important to have those concerns in writing so that it can influence what's in the letter of support from the federal government. But discussions between the municipality and First Nation shouldn't unreasonably delay reserve creation. And the First Nation is responsible for discussing issues raised by a municipality, and any issues that are addressed should be addressed in writing. And when the federal government is satisfied that municipal concerns have been addressed, a ATR can move forward in the process. So having a strong working relationship between a municipality and First Nation can have many benefits. For example, improving levels of services, realizing financial savings, building a strong labor force, enhancing social standards, providing growth and new opportunities, and improving intergovernmental relationships. So First Nations and municipalities do operate under different governance structures and can have different priorities and values at times. So this can lead to misunderstandings. So one way to address that is to start off with a protocol or memoranda of understanding, although this isn't required. So as I mentioned, bylaw compatibility can be something that is raised by a municipality in ATR processes. It's kind of something that's commonly raised, and so a First Nation and municipality can work together to ensure land use compatibility, which doesn't mean that all land use plans, official plans, and zoning bylaws have to be identical, but just compatible. Again, this isn't required, but something that can come up in the ATR process. And one way to ensure bylaw compatibility would be something like a joint land use planning committee or a protocol. So once land is added to a reserve, a municipality doesn't have to provide services to that land anymore, but it also can't levy taxes on that land. Sometimes the First Nation will try to purchase services from a municipality to continue having services to that land. And a municipality can seek to negotiate a tax loss adjustment with the First Nation, which isn't a continuation of taxes forever, but it would just be either one payment or a few payments over maybe 5 years to help the municipality adjust to a loss in taxes. And then it can also be helpful to have dispute resolutions in place in the event that disputes do arise, just to resolve those as easily as possible, although also not required. So now I'm going to talk about the history of Mishpekauton First Nations ATR land. So starting off, there's been Indigenous occupation of the area around the Mishpekauton River for over 7,000 years. And the Anishinaabe people of Mishpekauton have been inhabiting the land for over 700 years. In 1850, the Robinson Superior Treaty was signed. This treaty set out a reserve for Mishpekauton First Nation, although it was surveyed incorrectly, so the reserve was significantly smaller than it should have been under what's in the treaty. Within 50 years of the treaty being signed, there were 3 surrenders known as the Algoma surrenders, which surrendered quite a bit of the First Nations reserve land. It's this area here that was surrendered. Although these surrenders are somewhat questionable because under the Indian Act, there's a process to surrender land. Band members have to be able to vote to surrender that land, and there's an evidence that that happened in this case. In 1927, a piece of reserve land that's now being proposed to add to reserve was expropriated from the reserve for the Algoma Central Railway that was running through the reserve land at the time. And based on some of these issues and a few others, the Mishpekauton Boundary Claim Settlement Agreement was finalized in 2007, and Mishpekauton acquired 7 fee simple land parcels between 2002 and 2018. Next slide. So on this slide, I've just blown up that map from the previous slide. It's a bit outdated, so some things have changed, but you can see in yellow where the reserve is, and in red is where the reserve should have been, or the total reserve should have been, based on what's in the treaty. And then this light green here, purple, and blue are where the surrenders happened. And if you go to the next slide. On this slide, I've just added where the ATR land is in gray. So you can see quite a bit of it either was in land that was once part of the reserve but was surrendered, or should have been part of the reserve based on what's in the treaty, but because it was surveyed incorrectly, it was never reserve land. So in terms of Mishpekauton's ATR proposals, Mishpekauton submitted 4 ATR proposals to Indigenous Services Canada in August of 2024. And these proposals propose the addition of 7 parcels to the reserve. And the lands were acquired by the First Nation of Mishpekauton Cultural Association on behalf of the First Nation pursuant to the Mishpekauton Boundary Claim Settlement Agreement, which means that the lands are being added to reserve under the legal obligation category of the ATR policy. So the federal government has a legal obligation to add these lands to reserve because of the Mishpekauton Boundary Claim Settlement Agreement. And Mishpekauton informed the municipality of these proposals in a letter dated February 3rd. So this is a map of the ATR land. It's shown in red. The reserve is shown in light green. And in the next few slides, I'm going to go over each of these ATR parcels in more detail. So the first is the Peninsula ATR parcel. This is located south of the White Sands settlement area, if you know where that is on reserve. It's around 135 hectares and is primarily forested and undeveloped, although there are some leased properties for camps on the parcel. There's an old iron mine that was abandoned in 1906 on the parcel. A small power line runs through it. There's also a federal property at the tip of the peninsula with a lighthouse on it. And there's very limited road access to this parcel. There's a private gravel road that runs to the north end, but most of the land is not accessible by road. And the First Nations land use plan sets out potential future uses of this land. It's definitely not set in stone, but just to give a general idea of how this land might be used, some potential future land uses include recreational residential, so things like camps, park, campground, community facility, cultural area, sacred area, and protected natural area. So in terms of the municipal interests in the land, the municipality does provide firefighting services to the land. It's zoned primarily as rural, but also small sections are zoned as hazard lands. And the municipal taxes in this land in 2024 were over $7,600. So next is the Sandy and Superior Coast ATR. This parcel, this right here is Sandy Beach. So it's located at the north end of Sandy Beach and then along the coast of Lake Superior from there. It's around 235 hectares. Like the Peninsula ATR parcel, it's primarily forested and undeveloped, although there are some leased properties for camps. Mishpecotton Harbor Road runs through the property, and as I mentioned, the north section of Sandy Beach is here, and there are some transmission lines that run through the property as well. And some potential future uses of the land include recreational residential, commercial, park, campground, community facility, cultural area, sacred area, and protected natural area. So in terms of municipal interest in the land, or the municipality provides firefighting services to this property and maintains Mishpecotton Harbor Road, which I mentioned runs through the property. The land is zoned as rural under the municipality's zoning bylaw, and the taxes on this parcel in 2024 were just over $6,600. So next is the Tremblay Flats ATR parcel. So this property is about 84 hectares. Like the others, it's primarily forested and undeveloped. There is a transmission line that runs through it, and it's accessible by Tremblay Flats Road here. So this property is located just south of the intersection of Tremblay Flats Road and Highway 17. And some potential future uses in the land are commercial, community facility, park, sacred area, and protected natural area. So the municipality provides firefighting services to this property and maintains access to the property through the maintenance of Tremblay Flats Road. And the land is zoned as general industrial, and municipal taxes on this property in 2024 were $1,330 or thereabouts. So next is the North Railbed ATR parcel. So this is also located south of the intersection of Tremblay Flats Road and Highway 17. So this is the old Algoma Central Railway right-of-way that ran to Mishpecotton Harbor. It's now mostly just used as a recreational trail because all the rail infrastructure has been removed, although there are some significant washouts in the trail. And Tremblay Flats Road crosses the property just right here. And potential future uses of this land are commercial, community facility, park, sacred area, and protected natural area. So the municipality provides firefighting services to the property and maintains Tremblay Flats Road. The land is zoned as hazard lands and general industrial, and the municipal taxes in the land in 2024 for this parcel and the next parcel I'll talk about were $966. So the South Railbed ATR parcel is the next one. It's about 5.5 hectares. This was where the North Railbed parcel was. It's literally just south of the other railbed parcel. It's also used as a recreational trail, and there are some transmission lines that cross the property. It's not accessible by road, and the potential future uses in the land include commercial, community facility, park, sacred area, and protected natural area. So in terms of municipal services, maybe firefighting, no, it's not really road accessible, so that was the only one I could potentially think of. The zoning is also unknown, it's not shown on the zoning map, and the taxes for this parcel and the North Railbed parcel were $965 in 2024. Medicine Cave, this is the second last one. It's just over 4 hectares. This is located along Government Dock Road. So this is Mishpecotton Harbor Road, Government Dock Road here. This is a sacred site to the First Nation. So it's really just used for gatherings and ceremonies, and that's how we envision using the land in the future too. In terms of municipal services in this land, the municipality provides firefighting services and maintains access to the property through the maintenance of Government Dock Road. The land is zoned as rural exception, and the taxes in the land in 2024 were just over $730. So lastly is the water lot parcel. This is just over 8.5 hectares. It's adjacent to the Peninsula ATR parcel that I talked about. It's literally in Lake Superior, so the existing uses are a dock or two. We're not entirely sure about the future use of this property. It is outside of the municipal boundaries, but it's adjacent to the municipality, so we do want to let you know about it. But the municipality doesn't provide services to the property. There are no municipal taxes, the property, and it's not zoned under the municipality's zoning bylaw. Next. So just to summarize what I've talked about, Mishpecotton has proposed the addition of 7 parcels, or around 485 hectares of land, to the reserve pursuant to the Mishpecotton Boundary Claim Settlement Agreement. And this land has real significance to the First Nation, particularly given its history. And ATRs do play a really important role in reconciliation. So just some of the municipal interests that I flagged in this presentation are road use and maintenance. So the municipality does provide access to several of these properties by maintaining roads that either run through the property or at least provide access in some way. So we're not entirely sure at this point whether some of the roads, including Mishpecotton Harbor Road and Tremblay Flats Road, are part of the patent of some of the ATR lands. If they are, it is possible that the roads could be added to reserve, but they're often excluded. If they are part of the patent and the First Nation does choose to add them to reserve, we would have to negotiate access agreements with any properties that would be landlocked before the land is added to the reserve. Another municipal interest in this land would be taxes. So the total taxes on this land in 2024 was over $17,000. And it is possible for the First Nation and municipality to negotiate a net tax loss adjustment, which, as I mentioned, isn't a payment indefinitely. It just is, it provides some funds for the municipality to adjust to a loss in tax base. I've also talked about the existing and potential future uses of the land and the zoning of this land, so it could be of interest to the municipality to look into bylaw and land use compatibility and harmonization. The municipality does provide firefighting services to the land and some other services, so there is an existing firefighting service agreement between the municipality and First Nation, and this could be amended to include the ATR land, and municipal service agreements in general can be negotiated in this process. So just to kind of summarize what was in that ATR policy and what we're really looking for from the municipality, we're seeking the municipality's support and comments on these ATR proposals, and we'd like to work towards areas of mutual interest and relationship building. And as I've mentioned, some of the issues that commonly come up in ATRs are land use and bylaw harmonization, services, taxes, joint land use planning, fire protection, consultation, and dispute resolution. So these aren't mandatory things that we have to work through, but just they commonly come up in ATRs, and it could be something the municipality would like to look into. So the First Nation is responsible for discussing issues of mutual interest with the municipality, and addressing reasonable concerns that come from the municipality. The municipality must be given 3 months to provide comments to the First Nation in writing. And again, it's not expected that these issues be addressed at this stage, but it's just important to get these comments in writing. The municipality doesn't have a veto over ATRs. It's the federal government that decides once it's satisfied that the First Nation has addressed municipal concerns. And we're requesting comments from the municipality by May 4th of this year. So I've just included some links to resources here. So the first is the link to the ATR policy that I mentioned before, and the other three are links to resources from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. And that's all from me. Please let me know if you have any questions.
All the way through your presentation, like you guys, First Nations deal directly with the federal government all the time.
Yeah.
So, like, who do you deal with, like, federally around here?
We deal with the Indigenous Services Canada Regional Office for Ontario. So the people I deal with mostly are in Toronto.
Yeah. Okay. You said something about camps. You mean we're going to be able to build a camp, or the First Nation?
So on 2 of the ATR parcels, there are some leased properties that are used for camps right now. And for some of the land in the future, the First Nation may use the land for things like camps, cabins, but yeah, not the municipality. No.
Okay. I have, who owns Sandy Beach?
So the part that Mishpicon owns is just that north part where the cabins are. And then there are some residential properties at the south end of the beach. Otherwise, I believe it's public. Yeah. Yeah.
It's provincial?
I know there is crown land around.
Okay, it's been conversation in some of my group I talked to. Sandy Beach for the Indigenous. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Joe? Would the mayor have some questions?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Hoffman. Councillor Hoffman. Maya, I just wanted to thank you very much for the very, very thorough presentation. All of the questions that we posed to you earlier were certainly answered in it, and it was really great. This topic is very timely, and has come up in a number of tables around the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. And we, as you may know, I sit on the Indigenous Advisory Council for AMO, and we've had many conversations with the Union of Ontario Indians because this is coming up, and it's in many municipal councils are having questions. So this is a great presentation, which I will be forwarding off to AMO because the Anishinaabe Nation has said, this is something that we do need to come together and collaborate on to make sure that municipalities can support this process. And it's certainly my intention that the municipality support this, and we can collaborate and work together on having Mishpachon finalize this ATR, and minimizing the impacts to the municipality. So I really look forward to working with Maury and my members of council to have all of our comments put together for you by May 4th in time for your deadline. I know we certainly had a concern, or we wanted to make sure that we had access to any landlocked parcels of land, specifically the Superior Aggregates property. And we wanted to make sure that, we knew what was required of us in terms of road maintenance, if the roads were to be included for both the Harbor Road and Tremblay Flats. So while there's still certainly outstanding questions, I think that's certainly my intention. Reconciliation is very important to, I think, everybody around the table. So we want to support this, and it sounds like there's certainly time to mitigate all impacts and make sure that there's a slow, manageable transition. So, and I see nodding heads around the table, so I think we can certainly work there. And I think, as our relationship becomes closer and closer, there's opportunities for us to work together and make sure that there's mutual benefits for both the municipality and Mishpachon First Nation, so we can work together on projects in the future.
Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you.
You're welcome. Which?
Yeah. Just like to express my agreement with you, Mayor. And it's really important for everybody to understand that with the camps, we did give eviction notices, but we had to. If we don't, if third parties are still on those lands, then we cannot include them in the additions to reserves. So we had to give eviction notices to the cottagers who have been there. But we gave a 2-year notice so that they would have time to organize their affairs. And I do also think that there's lots of opportunity for Mishpachon and the municipality of Wawa to work better together. And this process can take 5 to 10 years, as Maya said. So I only see us growing closer together and developing those partnerships that are really needed. Again, I think that you'll find a lot of support from Mishpachon, but I also want you to know that we have an election coming up on March the 22nd, and as all elections go, who knows who's going to be in, but I can certainly tell you that we'll have a new council. There's only one of the former councillors who've put their name forward, and all of the rest are brand new. There's a young gentleman, Chad Edgar, who is on our council right now. He's also running for chief, and Chad and I work fairly closely together. So whoever it is that gets in, it'll be okay. And I think that you'll have a good contingent of people to work with, whether I'm there or not. Whether I'm at the council table or not, I'll always be part of Mishpachon and the progress that we've developed over the course of the years. This may be my last time you see my face in an official capacity, but you will absolutely see me again in a general capacity if I'm not the selected person to be chief for Mishpachon. So things are good. I look forward to working with the new councillors to help them develop the relationship with the Wawa municipality. Miigwech.
Is that it? Oh, you have a question, Mayor?
Yes, thank you very much, Councillor Hoffman. Through you, I just wanted to express my thanks and Chi Miigwech to Chief Tanchi for all of her leadership and guidance that she has certainly given myself, but that she has given to the municipality of Wawa on not only Indigenous issues, but on general governance issues as in her tenure as chief. Chief, you have so much experience and guidance. So Chi Miigwech for that. And I know that we will certainly see you around, whether it's in Wawa or Shaplo throughout the region. So, but you never know, you might still be back for a couple of more years yet. But thank you so much for coming today and walking us through this process.
Well, on behalf of Mayor and Council, thank you for the presentation. And I guess you'll be hearing from us later on. Okay. Okay, we'll move on to item 7, bylaws, nothing. Item 8, closed session. We don't have a closed session. Item 9, return to open session. Item 10, business arising, nothing. And item 11, adjournment.
Moved by Councillor Pato, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that the meeting close at 7:11 PM.
All in favor? Approved.